Yeah,
30s,
I
40s,
think
50s.
I always think classic films is like I think in both categories. And like classic films are definitely that, and like there's either older or there's new. So which one should we focus on first? Should we do classic films first? Someone who has probably better knowledge in films than I do. Alright, so classic films, quick topic. Yeah, this is the benefit of unaware minor shows having the force of enthusiasm. Alright, so this is Laura Kate. Alright. Yeah, she's new. Just like this hat. No, this hat's pretty old. Alright, so we're talking about classic films. So specifically old films, because we have taste in old films. So, okay, what's your favourite old film?
Well, for me, like everything started with Wizard of Oz.
Oh, of course.
And so that's probably like, yeah, not necessarily favourite. I find it hard to pick favourites because you watch so many.
Yeah, it's mental. Like,
Yeah.
The amount of films, even when people say like, oh, what's your favourite film? Like, don't ask me that question.
Yeah.
Too many films.
Yeah, there are too many films to pick, but then from there, like, I started watching other Judy Garland films, and then you watch films that are with other co-stars of her.
Yeah.
And so it becomes like this huge like family tree in a way, like they all connect to each other. And so like Judy Garland worked with Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, and then you start looking at those musicals with them in it. And then you can gradually start looking at serious films as well. Like Fred Astaire worked with Ginger Rogers, who was a serious dramatic actress. And so yeah, they just all spread out after a while.
Yeah, it reminds me of with how Hitchcock usually works in the same cast. So like, Jimmy Stewart is in so many of his films, and there's like all these other like people. Like it's just amazing how it seemed so easy for films back in the day that they always share similar casts. And there's even, I think I was watching the documentary about the Carrie Fisher and Debbie Fisher, and it was I don't know, is her name
Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Reynolds, that's the one. Yeah, I was like, I don't think that's her surname. And so they had at Debbie Reynolds' son's house. She had all these posters going throughout her whole kind of career, and being like, so this is when my parents met. This is when Carrie was born. This is when I was born. This is when they divorced.
Yeah.
I was like, this is when they moved on. And I was just like, okay, yeah. I mean, like they're all great films. I mean, like even I'm Singing in the Rain, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Well, Debbie Reynolds herself, like, is an advocate for the classic period, or she was.
Yeah.
She passed away recently, but she had a classic film museum.
With
with
she was advocated for, like,
all the
museum.
Costumes and
But she ended up having to sell most of them.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, but it's just mental how someone like her, which you usually think with like Hollywood actors that they wouldn't give a shit, but it's like because she also started kind of on stage, it's like she has such a love for it, and like I love it when classic film doers, whether they actually be directors or actually be actors or even stage actors, just have this passion for what they're doing. I mean, so much so that she still even was on stage until her death. So I was like,
and Mickey Rooney, actually, who passed away a few years ago, like he made so many films, and he was really passionate about the classic movies, and he worked with Judy Garland in 10 pictures. But yeah, he was doing it right up to the time he died. So and he was like 90 something. So
it's somewhat mental, but like you look at actors these days, which a lot of them, unfortunately, of course, like dying really early. But it's just great to see, you know, actors actually give a shit. Like so many of them are like much older now, or in like the 70s or 80s, and just don't give a crap about what films they're making. And it just seems disappointing. I mean, they've even got the idea, like the thing of how you can compare classic films to modern day films, and you kind of question which one's the better type, but they both have their pros. I mean, there was a film, I think it was called The Artist, that came out a couple of years back that got like a whole bunch of Oscars and whatever, and people saying like, oh, like one of the main reasons was because it was all in black and white.
Yeah, silent picture.
Yeah, and it was like, is it because it was all in black and white because of silent picture? Is because like it's such a throwback that it deserves all these awards for something people did so long ago? Yeah,
well, too, like that La La Land, the new musical too, like that's got it's kind of classic taste, even though it's quite modern.
Yeah, it's very much a love letter to those classic, like Singing Around, like the classic musical films. And a lot of people are also like, as much as there are so many people saying it's a great film, there's so many people shitting on it as well for the film it is. And like, I haven't even watched it. Like, I want to, but as much as I grew up with musicals. I grew up with Singing in the Rain, which is probably the only musical I can actually remember ever watching. But I can't be bothered going to see it, you know?
Yeah, well, usually the films that they make today with a classic twist are not quite as good as the ones from the 40s and 50s. Like, yeah, in La La Land, like, the main stars, they don't really compare to, like, Gene Kelly or Debbie Reynolds, really.
Yeah. It's... Yeah, I don't know how... I don't really want to say, like, the quality of film has gone down since those classic films, but I feel like the quality of passion has. Like, films these days, like, you've got fucking Transformers, and it's like, yeah, that's a passion project, yeah, sure. Like, I mean, like, it's a recent film, I think it's called Silence by, what's his name? It's the guy who did Taxi Driver, Scorsese, or however you pronounce his name. That was his passion project that he'd been doing for like a decade or so, and I just love it that you can still say that film directors have passion projects. I mean, I'm looking at James Cameron and thinking, I don't think Avatar 6 through 8 are going to be passion projects, or I should say 2 through 8 for God's sake. Yeah, but I don't know. It's always good to go back to watching a classic film.
Yeah, and the classic films like Gone with the Wind, like it took months and months of filming that, and the directors that year they brought out so many wonderful films. And 1939 was like the golden year of movies, and Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind came out that year, as well as some others like Wuthering Heights, and it was a great year. But so many of those directors continued to make great films throughout the 40s and 50s, and they do become classics, and people do like watching them, and they're films that you continue to watch, and it's amazing. They make these legacies, like the stars, like you can still know them. It's like once they're recorded on film, then 70 years down the track, even if they're passed away, you still know who these people are.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I look at these films and like, there's so many people who want to reboot them and like redo it or do a sequel or something like that. I'm like, why? Like, if the first one is...
And why remake a classic? Like, if it's already got to a really high standard, like, it's... Yeah, why touch it? Like, if there's a really B-grade film, then, I can understand that, but...
I mean, how many versions of The Wizard of Oz have they got there more made? I mean, I'm okay if they do stage musicals. I mean, they did the one, The Witch and whatever, and, like, that was cool enough. I'm like, I don't know what the hell
Wicked.
that's called. Yeah, Wicked, yeah. I mean, like, we've got that stuff. I'm like, that's still cool because this is all based on a book series, so, like, you can totally just explore in whatever way. But then there are other films which are just question, I really wanted to remake The Wizard of Oz. And I think they did The Wiz as well. The black version of it. I'm like, I don't want to ridicule it for being a bunch of black people, but I've seen it. It's not tremendous.
And they remade Madame Bovary and Far From the Madding Crowd, I think, a couple of years ago. But when they've already reached such a high standard, like, I think just leave them alone, really.
Yeah. It's always that comparison with great films, especially Citizen Kane, who people always consider to be one of the greatest films yet. I've met people who say it's not a fantastic film. I've never seen that. I'm still waiting for that day where I just sit down and just watch the film just because it's that kind of thing where I grew up as a kid being like, I wanted to be a writer, but like I don't want to read these books and be like, but then like I don't want to have to steal their ideas or stuff like that, like all their inspiration. It's already taken. Like it's like watching. The reason why I don't want to watch Citizen Kane is because I don't want to look at the best film we've made and be like, I'm never going to surpass that. But then I can look at it and learn from it. And
exactly. You can take influence from these directors and the people involved in these projects. So. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, I think as a moral of today's episode is just fucking watch out films.
Yes.
Like even if they're shitty B-movie films, like bloody whatever the hell I've got on that shelf. Too many. I'm thinking of one with Leslie Nielsen. I think there's some escape from some planet of something of the rather. So many classic sci-fi films.
So you can take like the best of every film that you watch, and even if it is a B grade film, there's usually something in it, like some sort of little gem, even in a B grade film, and you take the best of them all, and then you're just influenced to create your own project. Then.
There's nothing more long than it's just someone getting the best of all these other films, making their own one out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because people still complain like, oh, it's not original films anymore, but it's like, the thing is, like, a lot of the ideas are already done. So it's just improve on what's already been made. And some people fail at that, like, say, the fourth Indiana Jones film, bit of a failure in comparison to the original trilogy. But then there are some films which make it better, like, say, Mad Max, Fury Road is considered, again, arguably considered better than the first one. I'd probably say better than the first one, probably not. It's hard to say whether it's better or not than the second one, you know. So a lot of people argue differently. People like who grew up with Mad Max would say that the second one was better, but then people now, like of my age and whatnot, would say that Fury Road is better. I don't really mind. I think they're both great films. Yeah. So I think that's a fun look at classic films. So
yes.
Take a look for classic films and ignore my fucking hat.
Start with one and then look at the different actors in it, and then you can collect films from those actors. So if you see Gone with the Wind, watch other films with like Clark Gable and Vivian Leigh in them. And
so if you're happy to sit for 3 hours of film, I am. You should be too.
It's pretty good. Pretty intense stuff in there with the American Civil War and that. So.
Oh yeah, it's the burning sets and everything. It's a marvelous film.
Yeah.
I think even, I remember my mum saying, because she's one of the, I think she read through the book, even, which is quite an enormous book. She's read through that multiple times when she was a teenager, and then when the film came out, she watched it so many times in theatre, even though you had to sit through the whole entire thing, you only had like one intermission in the middle, and this is like an hour and a half in, so, yeah, it's great to see that kind of, it's great to see that kind of stuff. Do you actually have any favourite classic film actor, or actress?
Not really, it's just like the list goes on. So yeah, I like James Stewart and Clark Gable, Laurence Olivier, Vivian Leigh, Ginger Rogers. Yes.
It's such a stockpile of names, and I'm like, I'm trying to remember what the hell these people are.
Grace Kelly.
Grace Kelly, that's the one I was trying to think of. Yeah. So many great actors.
Yeah.
Actresses. Even though I think they put them under the one term now of actors, so I'm like, I don't really mind. Yeah, but I still think one of my favourite actors is just Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
Or James Stewart, however you want to call him.
It wasn't like the best looking guy, and he was very like lanky and had this very interesting tone in his voice, but he had this amazing charisma though.
Yeah. And
so recognisable, and he just seemed like within reach too, like you could just feel like, he's your ordinary bloke. Whereas some of the others, like Cary Grant, he's a bit more suave. And
exactly. It's like they're suited for their roles sometimes as well. So so it's always good to watch a good film, and it's always good to see that they're bringing back these films on things like on Blu-ray and stuff like that. Like they had the It's a Wonderful Life, the 40 or something.
And they're colorizing them too.
Yeah, well that was interesting because I got It's a Wonderful Life a couple of years back on Blu-ray, and that was the first Blu-ray that came out of it, and it was all colorized. And I actually never watched it while I had it on Blu-ray, and so I didn't really mind it was colorized because I'd seen it in black and white when I grew up, and then the 40th anniversary edition came out, which had both the colorized and the black and white, which people were really like, thank freaking God, they've actually finally released the black and white version remastered with a whole bunch of special features. I'm like, I'll get that for Christmas and give that to Wonderful Life to my grandparents. They won't mind, and they didn't. So yeah, it's convenience. Yes, I've got I say my stockpile, it's my dad's stockpile of classic films with Chaplin and oh my God, so many people. Like he even has names. It's like the section over there with Casablanca and Dark Passage and whatnot. They're all classified under one actor. It's not even classified under like a different director. It's just the one actor is in all these films. Then you look down.
Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah. God, Bogart. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen Casablanca actually, and that's like
I haven't either. I picked up the other day. I'm like, you need to watch this film.
And being like a real fan of classic films, like I'm really missing out on something there.
Yeah, I'm missing out on something. I still haven't watched half the Hitchcock films. Like, there are so many I haven't watched. I mean, I still haven't watched Vertigo. What's wrong with me?
So just when you think you've seen a lot, like there's already so much more to watch. Like so much.
It's too much, to be honest. It's such, like, I still look at that shelf and I'm like, God damn it, how many of those films are old films, and how long will it take me to watch all of them? Like, can I spend a day to watch all of them? Even if I spend, like, watch one film a day, I don't think I'd get through them in a year. It's just, there were just so many. But yeah, so...
What I like too is seeing those films that you might not know of as much, and so you don't necessarily know if they are classics, but they're from that classic period.
Yeah.
And so, like, I saw this film, and it wasn't by Hitchcock, but it had a Hitchcock feel. And yeah, I think it was called Dark Waters, and that was like really creepy, but it was very interesting. And you need to watch that, 1944. But I just saw that, it had Mel Oberon in it, and I was just looking at like the cast list and that. And, yeah, because I'd seen her in Wuthering Heights, so that you see those links in that. So it's good seeing a film sometimes that you don't know whether it'll be good or not, because then it can actually prove to be really good.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many films like that. The try to find my reviews in itself is the Ben-Hur. For I've seen the original film, and well, actually, the best remake of it, I should say, because that's a film that's been remade so many times. And even there are so many classic films. I mean, King Kong, which we've done we did a quick topic of that. I mostly explored the different versions of it, and mainly because we have the original version or remastered on Blu-ray, like all special edition and whatever, and the film looks great. And I'd never seen the original King Kong before, and it really is a marvelous film, and it's just so wonderful. Like, it's literally, I compare it to the like 2005 one by Peter Jackson. Like, it's actually not a bad film. Like, they're very similar films, and you can see that this is one of those things where they take a film and they look at what's good about it, because that's why this Blu-ray was made, because they remastered it while they're making that the new King Kong, and they're like, let's get exactly all the original ideas from this film and make it better. And it did. Of course, it involved a lot of CGI and whatnot, but at the same time, it didn't look bad. Like, they actually were able to have a big, intense fight with a not real gorilla and a not real T-Rex fight, and that was awesome. You know, they had all these scenes that they would have originally had in the original film, which they couldn't afford to, they didn't have the budget to work with and whatever, so they cut it out, and they ended up they remade that and put it into the new one, so, and they made that like a 3-hour epic or whatever. Yeah. So, yes, sometimes they can get it right. And then we've got the new King Kong Skull Island, so that's one to look out for. Yeah, so
it's interesting too, like to see the different remakes, and like with The Great Gatsby, that's been made like 4 times. I think there was one silent picture of it or something, and then I've seen the 1949 version with Alan Ladd, and that's a very good film.
I think I've seen that one too.
And then there's one in the 1970s with Robert Redford, I think, and then the recent one that came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
So, but they're all quite different, and because they're from different ages and like different decades, and so yeah, and you see just a different vibe from them, and like the progression of filmmaking has just changed quite a bit over the years. So it's interesting to see all of them.
Yeah, and different interpretations over the decades.
Yeah,
there's a lot of films like that. King Kong as well has many different versions of it. They even had a Son of Kong, which was a very poorly done sequel, but they had another version, I think they did in the 70s or 80s, which was, again, still stop motion, very much like the original, but all in colour and whatnot, and it still proved to be as good. I don't think it's like, when you think of King Kong, you don't think of that film, but you think of the original, or you think of the new one coming out, or the most recent one by Peter Jackson. So, you know, there are some films, like, when I think of The Great Gatsby, I think of, well, most of the book, but also how, and the difference between the book and the film as well, from perspectives, but like, I think of the different versions of it, and like, I don't remember which one I've seen. Definitely isn't the new one, and definitely like the silent film. But I think it may have been the one that was released in the 40s. So, yeah, I enjoyed watching the film. I never read the book. I can't be bothered. I was like,
the film just puts it in perspective for you, and that's enough,
yeah,
really.
Exactly. I look at films, I'm like I've always had a thing with books where I look at them and I look at the cover, I'm like, that looks really cool, and I read the blurb and it sounds really interesting. I start reading the book, I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah.
it can be boring, but then when I look at the film, I'm like, at least I can get it done in a couple of hours.
Yes, exactly.
Unless it's a picture book.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I must admit I'm a bit like that at times.
Yeah, I mean, that's why that's how I explain my big collection of films, because I'm just like, it's easier to read than a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though sometimes you can get films that have so many different interpretations that it's like...
It's not always true to the book.
Yeah, sometimes the annotations aren't always true, yeah. It comes in a prize, like sometimes it's just someone wants to make a different perspective.
Yeah.
So
and you usually get like the general vibe of what the book was trying to explain anyway.
Yeah.
That's what counts.
And, well, no, what counts is how the audiences receive it. It's like, no, we wanted to be more like the book, you asshole. we gave you our money. Nah, but it's I don't know. It depends on how good the film is. Yeah.
Well, I think Wizard of Oz is actually one, I think personally, where the film is so much better than the book. Like, then they've just made so much more meaning out of it, where it's something that is more originally just like a children's book, really, and it doesn't have like the No Place Like Home and the more spiritual side to it in the book, whereas there's this spiritual journey finding yourself in the film, and the No Place Like Home motto. So I think they've made a much better story and something that can reach out to kids and adults and just everyone. So I think that's one where they have improved it from the book, actually.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. The Wizard of Oz, especially because it gives you that transition of the black and white world that she lives in into that colourful wonderland. It's just like it's such a great transition.
You can't really understand that within a book as much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And a lot of people could look at these days and look at the film and be like, oh, but like we grew up with colour, like there's no difference. I grew up with colour. Like I watched a lot of Technicolor and a lot of black and white films when I grew up. Like I even watched one of the original Robin Hood films, which was in Technicolor, and I still really liked the film. I never understood why people didn't like silent films or black and white. I'm like, why? What's wrong with it? It's great. I sometimes even think black and white is better than colour. And I look at this one, at Wizard of Oz, I'm like, it's such a perfect film for just how it transitions and how it uses colour as well to explain the differences between the two worlds. And yeah, it's great. It's such a wonderfully done film. And even though it's just Technicolor, which I still think is actually somewhat better than digital colour, it's just great. Yeah. It's fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Classic films are great to talk about. I mean, I got to watch a lot more. I mean, I've got one of those bucket list of films that just includes every single classic film ever made.
Yeah, I love the documentaries. That's entertainment, and they go on about the classic films, in particular the musicals, and all the MGM musicals, and they have like the classic stars talking about them. And the first two documentaries were made in the 70s. And so you had all the classic stars talking about the films they made in the 40s and 50s, and then they had another one, part 3, in the 90s. But it's such a cool set of 3 documentaries, and so that's very good to watch. You can get a taste of all these great classic movies.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, as much as watching the film itself is great, there's something about it that makes the film better to know the background behind it. Like, knowing the background of how they made the certain scenes in Gone with the Wind, with all the burning background and how it's a burning set that they actually filmed because they could. And then there's the original King Kong, like this like a 4-hour documentary which I've sat through the whole entire thing, which it goes through like maybe an hour of it is going through like the Joy of Creation, which was the original version of the film that they were trying to make, which they moved most of the props and like the dinosaurs and whatnot into King Kong. But like then the rest of the film, the rest of the documentary, which goes through a lot of the old stuff from the original film, but it's mostly touched on by the people back in 2005. So they're actually looking at how they would have made these scenes and how they've had a painted background. They've got the glass thing here with planets there, like all these little things, like they went through every single layer of just one frame. Like one frame had like boiling mud in one part, had a painted background, had 2 video projections of 2 different actors here, the stop motion dinosaur fighting King Kong, you know, so much detail in one documentary. It just makes you appreciate the film more.
Yeah, they went to so much effort, and yeah, the special effects they had were extraordinary.
Yeah, it was just marvelous. I mean, you look at it now, it's like, look, it's an ape. Yeah. it's like, it's not really like, you could think of just how it's like lackluster now, but like it really still isn't. Like, I watched this for the first time, I'm like, it's amazing. Like, I came home tired from exams, and I watched this, and it was like, fuck, I love film.
Yeah, it's such a great switch off too. Yeah, like I've often watched a classic film on like a Friday night at the end of the week, and I'm just, I can just relax. It's so good, and you enter into this other world when watching a classic film.
What about I guess to bring it to modern day, what about modern day classics? Like, and I try to classify, like, it's so hard to think what is a modern day classic film. I mean, it's like, obviously the Avengers, like, it's such an ensemble piece. Like, there's just so many films I look at now, I'm like, would this be remembered in the next like 20, 30 years?
Yeah, I guess just time will tell, really. Like,
I think the Avengers will be the one which you look at when you think of, yep, that's why Hollywood doesn't exist anymore, because they wasted their money on Disney films that were all about superheroes. I have a little bit of beef with Marvel films, nothing big. But it's just there's so many films like that where you can be like, oh, it's a classic film. Like I was talking to Laura earlier about the Big Lebowski, which we had a guest last season and talk about how much they don't like it. So I'm like, I look at it, and a lot of people call it a modern day masterpiece and whatever, and a classic film and everything. I look at it and I've watched it, and I'm like, it's not a bad film, but I think it's so much of a film for its audiences. Like I think one of the big differences now between modern day films and classic films is that it's the audiences were usually the same back then. Like they're like, it's like, you know, most people, pretty much everyone is going to expect romance or suspense, or like it was always these big genre things. It wasn't like small things of stoner comedy or like you know, end of high school year thing. It's actually like, you know, this is someone's.
I think that's exactly right. I feel as if the more modern classic films, so classic films from the 80s to now, they're more cult classics, really. Yeah. And they're so genre specific, whereas all these, I mean, The Room is considered a cult classic. Well, it's considered a classic in whatever form, and it itself, you can't really even define the genre. It's just bad film. It's, you know, I mean, there are classic films like that, like Plan 9 from Outer Space, which in itself, of course, is a pretty horrible film. But you can still see, like, when you watch the Ed Wood film, which was done by Tim Burton, which is pretty much a documentary about making the film, even though it's, of course, a dramatized documentary. It still goes to show, like, they still had a passion behind it, behind making the film, even though it was a pretty horrible film, they still had a passion behind it. But yeah, it's just so interesting how films evolved to, you know, even you could probably say robots fighting humans is now a genre, but I'd still prefer to watch just suspense, anything Hitchcock. Yes.
And they even, of course, they do have their subgenres of romance and comedy and all kind of stuff, especially North by Northwest, which is so great on its romance, it's so great on its comedy, and so great on its mystery. It's a great blend of all those genres. And action and everything, and it's such a fucking fantastic film. But it's just, you know, it's look at films these days, it's like, I'm not disappointed by modern day films. I don't think I ever will, because there are so many films that come out, whether they be comic book adaptations, or actual original things, or adaptations of, or remakes, or sequels. You know, some films I can enjoy. You know, like I watched Captain America: Civil War. I enjoyed the film. Do I think it's a masterpiece? No. But do I think it's a really good film? Yes, especially. But then I also look at that, and a lot of people like look at those films. It's like in comparison to other superhero films, yeah, it's really good. But then it's like, what about in comparison to other films? Like, you can't watch it. if you've never seen a superhero film before, you can't watch Civil War. You know, it's one of those films that like the build-up isn't the hype of waiting for it to come out in cinema because it's a new film that you like the director, you like the actors, or you like the story, or it's a remake, and you're like, oh, I love the original, I want to see what they do this time around. I have to sit for Iron Man and Captain America and Thor and Captain America 2 and Thor and Captain America 3 and Thor and like all these different fucking films just to get to Civil War, and that's one of my only problems with that franchise, that you have to pretty much sit for all these films. Except for the Thor films, they're too boring to watch. I slept through the first one 5 times on the aeroplane, like, I can't get through this film. And I watched the second one twice. I'm like, yeah, it's background noise. You know, they have their moments. But no, classic films I don't think will ever die off. I think superhero films eventually, like with the most modern day films, will. The only thing that will probably remain will be those cult classics of films that were somewhat underappreciated, or they're so bad they're good. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, the test will be if in 40 years, like, people are still watching them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in 40 years, no one's going to be watching this shit. I mean...
Nobody watches it anyway.
Exactly, see? Enthusiasm is... It's on a grand scale from 1 to -1. It's great. Yeah, so should we wrap this up here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, it's a very long, quick topic.
Watch classic films.
Or it could be, watch classic films, all the classic films, don't watch the classic films topic for the Mindless.
Yeah.
Don't yourself.
Well, no, watch it and then you'll get educated.
Alright, well, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Mr. Mindless, that host dude that does this show because he has no life. And this is Laura Kate. I have descriptions to her Facebook page and other stuff in the description, so she does performing and stuff. She's talented, unlike me. It's great. So,
and I sing songs from classic movies.
She does, and she's good at it. She's good at almost everything she does. Yeah, I gotta say, like, it's almost everything because there's possibly something she's bad at. I mean, no one's perfect.
No.
Yeah. Alright, thanks for watching.
Bye.